It's morning again in America. And under the leadership of President Reagan, our country is prouder and stronger and better. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
Well, that ad was a classic, perfectly framing what was at stake in the 1984 election between Reagan and Mondale. But 40 years later, a new ad from the Dave McCormick Senate campaign in Pennsylvania, it's right up there.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals.
So for people out there who like their insurance, well, they don't get to keep it.
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
The more people get to know her, they're going to be particularly impressed by her ability.
We did it, Joe.
Joining me now, Rob Collins, former executive director of the NRSC. He's also CEO of Coin Credit Card. Also with me, Jason Chaffetz, Fox News contributor, former Utah congressman. Jason, now, McCormick is down a little bit in Pennsylvania. He's trying to unseat the Democrat incumbent, Bob Casey. Obviously, he's endorsed Harris. Is this effective, the way he's framing her?
Oh, it definitely is. Look, David McCormick's he's the real guy. His success record, I think when everybody in Pennsylvania understands it, but it is a very effective ad because it's using your own words. And there you have the sitting senator saying, oh, you're going to really be impressed by her. But all those policies he talks about are so counter to what the people of Pennsylvania really want.
Rob, let's move to the new Trump ad that he just released today. Check it out.
Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Well, they kind of want her to be a little bit distanced from Bidenomics. The New York Times did a piece the other day saying, well, she didn't really have a lot to do with the economic policies. But since it's the Achilles heel for the Democrats, does that approach make sense, Rob?
Well, what they're going to try to do is break the link between Biden and Harris. You saw today they're trying to make a link between Obama and Harris. But as vice president, she owns the Biden record. And so the Trump campaign is working extra hard to make sure they remind all the voters that if you are unhappy with Biden, Kamala Harris is more of the same.
Yeah, well, here's Kamala's first ad. It was just released. She chose to feature, well, herself. Watch.
There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose freedom. The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body.
Jason, well, ignoring the content, is that framed well?
No, freedom. She's the one that wants to get rid of meat. She's the one that wants to get rid of cops. She's the one that wants to get rid of the border so we can be free of a border and a safe immigration plan. So go ahead and keep it up. But I don't think America will buy it.
Well, it's a little hard when she says we want people to get ahead. Well, you had 4 years and people have less savings now than they had then. So like we want to do that. You had 4 years. That's the problem with having a record. All right, let's move on to the Senate races, other Senate races. Eric Hovde is a Republican running in Wisconsin. This ad, interesting. Watch.
One of the most successful administrations in generations.
We deserve better than leaders who bob along while America crumbles. It's time to retire Tammy Baldwin.
Rob, attacking one's opponent directly, right? Going right at her with a bobblehead. Does that work?
Well, you want to define your opponent, especially if you're a challenger. You know, Hovde's coming from behind to take out a well-known incumbent. But Wisconsin has a habit of changing out their senators when they get a little too far, a little too Washington. And Tammy Baldwin's been in Washington, very liberal, very out of step with the state. So I think this ad's really a nice, kind of shows that she's kind of a sock puppet for Democratic leadership, Democratic liberals in Washington.
Hung Cao is a GOP Senate candidate in Virginia. So he decided to use the ad, his new ad, to focus on his own story instead of the other person. Watch.
We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. America saved my life. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless.
Jason, he's not mentioning his opponent. Is that helpful, hurtful, if you're trying to unseat an incumbent?
I think he has such a compelling and strong story. If people just listen to what he did, what his family went through, especially in a place like Virginia, which has such a strong tradition of military service and belief, I think that's the right play here because his story is absolutely amazing. I encourage everybody to watch it in its totality, and you'll be moved by it.
Rob and Jason, the first installment of our 2020 Ad Wars. Thanks so much. That is it for us tonight. Make sure to follow me on social media. We had a special visitor in the studio tonight, and you want